Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wednesday's Market Situation Report, or SITREP. Here at Top Gun Options, I'm Wiz Matthew Buckley, and just had a great accelerated retirement brief. Make sure if you're a member of that service, go ahead and watch the replay there. We covered everything we're going to cover in the SITREP, but obviously for an hour, and took a look at a new iron condor on Visa, legging into that trade. Quick reminder, tomorrow afternoon, after the closing bell at 4:30 Eastern, we're going to be doing a live session open to the public, trading the Death Star. Amazon is an absolute steal at this level, folks. This is the only stock you might need to own for the rest of your life and forsake all others. So free brief tomorrow after the close. Go.topgunoptions.com/brief. We're going to cover the advantages and disadvantage of trading in a single name. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages, especially when you're talking about the Death Star known as Amazon. So 4:30 Eastern after the close tomorrow. Join us. Go.topgunoptions.com/brief. Republican lawmaker says Iran would be pretty much toast in a very quick amount of time. Illinois Congressman, former service member, kind of stating the obvious here. But the president earlier, hey, war with Iran? Hope not. But the reaction would obviously be the right answer if it happens, if they provoke us. As you all know, a buddy of mine, Putnam Brown, is the commanding officer of the Abraham Lincoln. The carrier strike group is currently outside of the Strait of Hormuz. They are not inside the Arabian Gulf, which is interesting, kind of hanging out there because Putnam said, hey, we don't want to inadvertently escalate something. A couple weeks ago, however, the skipper of the battle group, who outranks Putnam, said, hey, man, I can take this ship anywhere I want to, whenever I want. So a little bit of toned down stuff going on in the Arabian Sea. But guess what? Just because the media ain't covering it doesn't mean this isn't going on. As we're speaking right now, men and women are conducting flight operations off the Abraham Lincoln. I did a cruise to the Arabian Gulf, 44 missions over Iraq from the Lincoln and the Kitty Hawk. I've been in this region. I sailed through the Strait of Hormuz 4 times. Every time we were at general quarters with the ship in a fully combat position. So this is going to come to a head, folks. The president tore up the fake nuke agreement that Barack Hussein Obama did with the mullahs. It's not worth the papers printed on, and this is going to come to a head. We have to keep an eye on it. Trade tensions have significantly impacted China. The IMF came out with a report. China's getting bloody, folks. Last night, our time, they came out with a services PMI number that was a huge miss. 54.3 was predicted, 52.7. So both sides are getting bloodied. I guess the one less bloody when the bell rings is going to be declared the winner. But a lot of companies are actually fleeing Asia. They ain't coming to the United States. Or fleeing China, and they're going where? Countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, South Korea, and that's going to be a boon to their economy. But China ain't going to be too happy about that. Remember, this is the anniversary of Tiananmen Square. The lone guy standing in front of a line of tanks. That picture is actually illegal in China, by the way. You're not allowed to show that picture of that dude standing in front of a line of tanks in Tiananmen Square trying to hold off the government. So China ain't going to be too happy if a lot of companies leave and end up in little countries like Vietnam that China in the past has shown a very belligerent posture to. U.S.-Mexico officials to hold talks on what? Border dispute. It was breaking news a little while ago that Senator Chuck Grassley said what? We're going to have a deal done with Mexico tomorrow. We're going to have a tariff deal. So the president over in Great Britain yesterday said, hey, June 10th, forget about it. Tariffs 5% is going into effect. Mexico hasn't done anything. Now he gets the ability to say, folks met, my vice president met, we talked, the Mexicans are going to act now. Love or hate the guy, he's making things happen. Former presidents, all it's been is talk. This man's about action. Mexico, close your border, fix it, stop sending illegal immigrants from the bottom of your country all the way through to the top. It's illegal, folks. If you want to request asylum, international law says you have to request it in the first safe country you make it to, Mexico. They just let them right through. The George Soros funded. How do these people eat, get on trains, trucks? How do the attorneys get paid on that side of the border who hand out placards that say this exact language to a border patrol agent, and they got to give you it's insane. Shut the border, or we're hitting you with a 5% slap. $32 billion a year illegal immigrants cost our federal government. That is a trade war, folks. It is a drain on our society, right? So good on the president for doing this. Hopefully Mexico wakes up. The Fed's dead, man. Jerome Powell, so the Fed, St. Louis Fed Chief Bullard on Monday said, we're probably going to have to cut rates soon. Then Jerome Powell came out and did a big cannonball into the deep end yesterday and did what? We're gonna cut rates essentially to keep this party going. Absolute end of the Fed there. It's ridiculous. If anything, the Fed should be raising rates. This economy is on fire. I get today that the ADP jobs number came out. I sat here for about 10 minutes, putting my glasses on and hitting refresh. We had 271 previously, looking for 185 this time. We got 27K. I sat there going, where's the one? There ain't no one in front of that. So the non-farm payroll number on Friday is going to be very, very interesting. Another reason why I'm sitting on a lot of short positions, because this is a massive short squeeze yesterday. A little bit of a follow through today, but if that jobs number comes out on Friday, it's going to be interesting. I think we might see a little bit of a sell-off because that shows that the economy's slowing, right? But the Fed's going to be cutting interest rates, and if the job number is bad, it's even more of a reason to cut interest rates. But folks, this is the tail wagging the dog. The Fed funds futures rate has already said, hey, Fed, you're cutting 2 times this year. The Fed coming out and saying, we're cutting 2 times this year. It's already priced in. I think people are going to be looking for maybe 3 rate cuts this year. And the president, last month was saying that we need QE. We need not only does the Fed need to cut interest rates, we need quantitative easing. You need to start printing money out of the back of your town car there, Jerome, and pump it into the market, into the economy. Not the way I'd run things, but I'm me. I'm not President Trump. Wall Street pins its hopes on rate cuts. That's where we are right now, folks, in the middle of this trade war with China, tariffs slapping around with Europe, maybe India down there in Mexico. We're hoping Uncle Fed is going to help us out. And if you look at the charts, that's what usually happens. Yesterday, a little bit of a pop. May 1st, we're not going to be doing anything. Implosion. And, back in, October 3rd, hey, we're going to raise rates. Absolute market implosion. So if you don't think that the Federal Reserve is watching the stock market, you're nuts. So a little bit of follow through on yesterday's short squeeze. Do not watch CNBC, folks. Get your news from the SITREP. Most of our members, I love getting this compliment. Wiz, I get my news from you. You should. CNBC yesterday. Jerome Powell made those comments yesterday morning, or was released yesterday morning. The massive buying frenzy into the close was not on Jerome Powell's comments, even though the idiots on CNBC said it was. It was a short covering into the close. Jerome Powell saying we're going to cut rates. The market in the morning kind of went, of course you are. We know you are. We've told you to. And the idiots were, so for the next couple hours, like 4 hours after that, people were they saw the non-reaction to the Fed capitulating, which should have been a huge bullish thing, and got short. Market went up a little bit. It was short covering into the close, folks. That ends. Short squeezes end. Short squeezes last, on average, about 3 days, and then the market usually ends up going down. So we're not going to hang out in no man's land. Just like up here when we went through the 50-day moving average on the S&P 500, went up, hit it, and then imploded. Same thing. We went through the 200-day moving average rate up through it. I think we come back down to it. What's the bullish case? Don't give me the, hey, Mexico, agreed to do stuff and Trump's not going to raise tariffs 5%. That already came out. The market had a little bit of a pop when Senator Grassley reported that. So we know that tomorrow, most likely, they're going to walk out to a microphone and say, hey, we're going to bust our ass to stop the flow. Great. I don't know, man. Not too bullish here. Can anybody tell me? I haven't seen Larry Kudlow. I haven't seen Steve Mnuchin. I haven't seen Ambassador Lighthouser. I haven't seen Peter Navarro or the chief of staff. Has anybody seen any of these dudes on the news going, we're scheduling talks for the Chinese? You ain't going to hear anything until what? The G20 summit coming up. I reported last month that when the talks broke down, what did the last line in the Wall Street Journal article said this: we're done at our pay grade. Vice Premier, Treasury Secretary, Ambassador, we're done. It's up to these two dudes. It's up to Xi Jinping and Trump to get this done. We can't push it across the goal line. So we're going to sit here. But love or hate the man, Trump's a genius. Why? He's been pounding the Fed for months to cut interest rates and do QE. What's he going to do? This timing is going to be perfect. You ready? Maybe Trump is a genius after all. What if he finally gets the steep Fed rate cuts he's been demanding and maybe even gets QE? After that, he ends the trade wars. Tariffs go down to zero, and the stock market surges to you will see a rip-your-face-off rally that makes 2017 look like a bear market. Just in time for what? The 2020 election. As Democrats play Keystone cops in their clown car, investigating and trying to impeach, this guy's going to do the triple Lindy. I predicted this, guys. I'm glad to see David Rosenberg. I told you a month and a half ago that the reason the president has been pounding the hell out of the Fed is because he uses that as leverage against the Chinese. They made the mistake of believing he must be in a really weakened position if he's beating up on the Fed to cut rates. Exact opposite. That's where the Chinese made their mistake and then also did the whole maybe we'll wait for Joe Biden. That was stupid. In AR today, accelerated retirement, we talked about getting bearish on the financials. The Fed cutting rates. We looked at Goldman Sachs, folks, buying puts at Goldman Sachs. The financials are a disgrace. They're imploding, and they're going to go lower. Look at the 2-year chart of Goldman Sachs. 2-year chart, we used to trade the hell out of Goldman Sachs until the Fed surrendered. Down 17% over 2 years. JP Morgan, these were huge positions 3, 4, 5 years ago at Top Gun Options. We were printing money in, and then I said, we're done. The Fed's done, we're done, and it was a great call. If you had shorted them, you're printing money. Didn't short them, I just got out of them. Today, I actually said, go out through the July, it's what, July 30, 31 Fed meeting, and buy puts on Goldman Sachs or the XLF. It's going lower. They're going to cut rates, and those banks are going to implode. Amazon is going to whistle past the graveyard, in my opinion, folks. Could not disagree more with the fast money crowd on CNBC after market close the other day. Google and Facebook are better positioned than Amazon. Completely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I stake my career on it. We have an election coming up next 2 years. Google and Facebook are way above the trenches of Washington. They're getting called to testify. When is the last time you saw Jeff Bezos being grilled on Capitol Hill? It didn't happen. It's Zuckerberg. It's the Google executives. Why is your search algorithm this? Why'd you rush in that? There ain't no Amazon in any of that, folks. It will take 5 to 10 years for the FTC to muddle through Amazon and do anything. As that's going on, Amazon's going to go about its business and print money and do what it's doing, eating everything. Google, Facebook, with an election coming up, are going to get absolutely obliterated. Got to keep an eye on Apple. Apple's had a little bit of a short squeeze in the past couple days, but they're actually, I saw a news story that floating around the Chinese government, they might ban iPhones. It came up on my phone before I got on the air. Look at that. Now look at the market reaction. They might ban iPhones in China, folks. I get that it's bluster and they're shooting across our bow. Banning iPhones, folks. So this stock was up like 2-3% earlier. Now it's cut those in half. I have a bear call spread on this out to Friday. It's a hold. This is a dead cat bounce. Look at this. Bounce, implosion, little bit of recovery, implosion, big bounce. Who's bullish on Apple here? Who's bullish on Apple when the Chinese government says we're going to cut rare mineral earth exports, which go in iPhones, and we might outlaw iPhones? Anyone want to buy that stock? Will the Chinese government do that? I don't think so. Can they? Absolutely. So I'm hanging in the weekly Apple position. Have a great look in EWZ, Brazil. Love my Brazil. We have a weekly options iron condor that's going right down the fairway. We are up $825 in this iron condor. This expires on Friday. Whoops, let me click on it right here. EWZ, right there. Let's analyze that one. This trade is risking $3,750, $3,800 to potentially make $3,800 in 4.5 days. Look at that, going right through the fairway. Got to split these uprights, and it's looking pretty good. Really nice recovery out of the EWZ of late. Good stuff going on down in Brazil with Bolsonaro. EWZ right there. Look at that. And then what did I do? I said it's going to top out, and we're going to get bearish on it. So, all right. Good stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. Remember, after the closing bell, make sure you join me tomorrow. Make sure you register. Even if you can't attend, I'll hook you up with the replay. Make sure you register, and I'll still hook you up with the replay. Tell you what, I'll also give you $100 worth of stuff for registering. A 7-step trade plan that's $55, and the OPCL, the Options Pocket Checklist, for about $45. So just for registering, you're making money potentially, okay? Go.topgunoptions.com/brief. Do me a favor, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, tell your friends. You're going to learn how to trade the Death Star and be a market maker in Amazon, okay? Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow after the close. God bless.